खबरां दा लेखा जोखा प्रोग्राम दे विच आप सब दा स्वागत है।
Khabran the Lekha Jokha October 24, 2024 has been sponsored by Hanif Litigation. Any criminal or regulatory law matters, contact lawyer Shahid Hanif at 604-626-3144. Hanif Litigation. Police investigating serious downtown Vancouver stabbing. Vancouver Police Department officers are on scene in the downtown core Thursday after a morning stabbing sent one person to hospital. The VPD says the victim was found at West Hastings and Richard Street, but investigators believe the assault took place elsewhere. One person was taken to hospital in stable condition with non-life-threatening injuries. Vicentin explained this investigation is in its early stages, she said.
ਵੈਨਕੂਵਰ ਵਿਖੇ ਵੈਸਟ ਹੇਸਟਿੰਗ ਤੇ ਰਿਚਰਡ ਦੇ ਏਰੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਨੂੰ ਛੁਰੇਬਾਜ਼ੀ ਦੇ ਜ਼ਖਮਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਪੀੜਤ ਪਾਇਆ ਗਿਆ। ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਹਸਪਤਾਲ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਇਆ ਗਿਆ। ਉਸ ਦੀ ਜਾਨਲੇਵਾ ਤਾਂ ਸੱਟਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹਨ, ਪਰ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਹੁਣ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਤੇ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਹਸਪਤਾਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਹੁੰਚਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਗਿਆ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਕਿ ਉਸ ਦਾ ਇਲਾਜ ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ, ਪਰ ਤਫਤੀਸ਼ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਜਾਰੀ ਹੈ, ਮੁੱਢਲੇ ਖੇਤਰ 'ਚ ਹੈ।
1,700 British Columbians killed by unregulated toxic drugs in first 9 months of 2024. The BC Coroner Service says that in the first 9 months of 2024, 1,700 people in the province were killed by the unregulated toxic drug supply. In an update on Thursday, the BCCS says preliminary data shows that 187 people and 183 people were killed in August and September respectively. The data for the first 9 months of 2024 represents an 8% decrease from the number of deaths during the first 9 months of 2023, 1,896. In both August and September, approximately 6 people died each day from suspected unregulated drugs, the coroner service stated. Almost half of the deaths were in people between the ages of 30 and 49. The BCCS shared, while just 1.1% were 18 years old or younger. While the number of deaths has decreased since the same period of reporting last year, the coroner service says so far in 2024, 26% of deaths related to toxic drugs were females. The rate of death among females is 21 per 100,000 people, an increase of 60% from 2020. 13 per 100,000, the BCCS stated. Fentanyl was found in 85% of the unregulated toxic drug deaths and 81% finding some kind of stimulant. Vancouver, Surrey, Greater Victoria saw the highest number of deaths in September, the coroner service added.
2024 ਵਰੇ ਦੇ ਪਹਿਲੇ 9 ਮਹੀਨਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੈਰ ਕਾਨੂੰਨੀ ਨਸ਼ੀਲੇ ਪਦਾਰਥਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ 1700 ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਕੋਲੰਬੀਆ ਦੇ ਨਾਗਰਿਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਮੌਤ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਹੈ। ਔਰ ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਡੇਰੀ ਮਾਤਰਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੌਤ ਦੇ ਕਾਰਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੱਭੇ ਗਏ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਫੈਂਟਨਲ ਦੀ ਵਡੇਰੀ ਵਰਤੋਂ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਮਰ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ 40 ਵਰਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਥੱਲੇ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕ ਨੇ 18 ਵਰਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਉੱਪਰ ਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਵੱਡੀ ਗਿਣਤੀ ਹੈ। ਔਰ ਔਰਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਸ਼ੀਲੇ ਪਦਾਰਥਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਮਰਨ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਗਿਣਤੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਵਡੇਰੀ ਮਾਤਰਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਾਧਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ। ਭਾਵੇਂ 2023 ਦੇ ਮੁਕਾਬਲੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮਿਣਤੀ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਥੋੜੀ ਕਮੀ ਆਈ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਵਡੇਰੀ ਮਾਤਰਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮੌਤ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਗੈਰ ਕਾਨੂੰਨੀ ਨਸ਼ੀਲੇ ਪਦਾਰਥਾਂ ਦਾ ਸੇਵਨ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਨੇ।
Millions of Canadians don't have a family doctor, says a report. Shocking new numbers are painting a sad snapshot of just how many Canadians still don't have access to a primary care provider. A report by the Canadian Institute of Health Information, CIHI, finds that 5 to 4 million people, or 17% of adults, don't have a family doctor. These most recent numbers looked at access in 2023. In Canada, adults aged 18 to 34 were the least likely to report that they had access to a regular healthcare provider, 74%. Older adults aged 65 plus were the most likely to report access, 92%, the report explained. The CIHI finds 87% of women reported having a family physician compared to 79% of men. It also details the difference between household income levels and having a doctor. One concern is the potential of chronic illness not being addressed, which could lead to increased hospitalizations, the report states. When regular care isn't available, a patient may miss out on medications or treatments that could help control their symptoms and potentially slow the progression of their condition. It's sad. Chronic diseases including angina, asthma, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, diabetes, congestive heart failure, CHF, epilepsy, and high blood pressure are known as ambulatory care-sensitive conditions because if they are managed well through primary care, patients are less likely to need hospital care. Last month, the BC College of Family Physicians and BC Family Doctors said there were more than 700,000 British Columbians without access to a family doctor, and nearly 40% of family doctors currently operating in the province were set to retire or scale back their hours over the next 5 years. Over the past year, the provincial government has been pressed to address healthcare woes in BC. On the campaign trail in the lead up to the election, NDP leader David Eby referred to it as stubborn, while promising to improve the system without offering a firm timeline.
फैमिली डॉक्टर्स की कमी का जोड़ा चर्चा वो सारे पासे है तकरीबन 5.4 मिलियन कैनेडियंस ने जिन्हों पास फैमिली डॉक्टर की एक्सैसिबिलिटी नहीं है। इस दे नाल चर्चा ये भी छिड़ी है जोड़े अंकड़े पिछले 2023 के डाटा जोड़ा उहदे आधार ते नशर किए गए हैं। इस दे नाल इस गल का भी जिक्र होया कि किन्नियां बीमारियां ने अगर फैमिली डॉक्टर की अणहोंद के हालातों के विच लोग अपनी प्रेसक्रिप्शन नहीं भराउंदे, दवाई टाइम सिर नहीं लैंदे, डायगनोज समय सिर नहीं करते तो उन्होंने हस्पताल दे विच दाखिल करने की जरूरत पैंदी है। और ये वडेरी मात्रा दे विच आम बीमारी तो लैके ब्लड प्रैशर तो लैके तकरीबन हार्ट फेलियर की गल तक पहुँची है। और इस दे नाल ये भी कहा गया कि फैमिली डॉक्टर की जिहड़ी अणहोंद है पिछले अंकड़े जिहड़े दसे गए सन BC दे विच तकरीबन 7 लाख के करीब लोग ने जिन्हां पास फैमिली डॉक्टर नहीं है। पिछलियां चोणां दे विच जदों इस बारे गलबात हुई तो डेविड एबी ने कहा कि काफ़ी ज़्यादा ये स्टबर्न सिचुएशन है पर इस दे उत्ते असीं काम करांगे।
First to know declines call from Rustad says BC Greens won't support BC NDP until election results are final. Sonia Firtsnow says she'll wait for the final results of the provincial election, but says John Rustad and the BC Conservatives would have to make certain changes before earning the support of the two BC Green Party MLAs. The Greens announced Tuesday that Firtsnow is staying on as a leader despite losing her seat in the legislature, saying she was instrumental in BC's 2017 minority government and her guidance of the party's new caucus will be critical. The Greens say their two elected members, Jeremy Valerote and Rob Botterell, support Firtsnow's leadership as they navigate the prospect of having the balance of power in the legislature. Speaking in Victoria on Wednesday, Firtsnow says she's prioritizing Valerote and Botterell until election results are in. My focus right now is on supporting our team MLAs and engaging in meaningful conversations about how the people of BC can be best served until the final vote count is in, said Firtsnow. She says she spoke with BC NDP leader David Eby Wednesday morning but did not take a call from BC Conservative leader John Rustad. I didn't recognize the phone number, Firtsnow quipped, adding she has significant concerns about statements Rustad's candidates have made and positions his party has taken on many issues, including climate change. There have been statements made by Conservatives candidates that are truly disturbing, racist, dehumanizing, homophobic, and conspirational. Some of these candidates have been elected and have yet to see a satisfactory response from John Rustad around this, that's Firtsnow. Elected representatives have serious burden and responsibility to hold themselves to a high standard and to see themselves as representatives of everyone in their community. It's John's responsibility now to ensure that his caucus understands the seriousness of the burden of being an elected representative. EB said Tuesday that the Greens have told his party that it's too early to begin talks on a minority government agreement. Fatsno corroborated that statement Wednesday, declined to say that she and EB spoke about. By current count, the BC NDP is elected or leading in 46 ridings and the BC Conservatives in 45, both short of the 47 ridings required for a majority. While the BC Greens are poised to play a key role in shaping the next government, the party's two rookie MLAs are ready to make an impact. Botterell and Velorote are entering the legislature unaccompanied by the leader. However, Fatsno will be by their side negotiating a confidence and supply agreement if either front-runner ends up needing the support of the Greens to form government. Botterell, who was elected in North Saanich and the Islands, says it's comforting to know Fatsno and the experience of the deal struck in 2017 under her belt. He explains he's ready for the challenge. My shoulders aren't sinking yet. I'm really looking forward to this and I feel very comfortable with where we are at, he explained. It's really huge benefit to have Sonia as our leader, staying and mentoring us and leading us as we work through applying the framework, Botterell added. Velorote, who made history of the Greens by winning West Vancouver Sea to Sky, says he understands the gravity of the situation. Both of us have been thinking about this for some time and we're ready to do the work and get the solutions of British Columbians that are needed and go forward. It's a lot, but we are ready to get started, he said.
BC ਨੇ ਚੋਣਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਟਿਕੀਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਨੇ ਗ੍ਰੀਨ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਟਿਕੀਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਕਿਸ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਹਿਮਤੀ ਜਤਾਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਗ੍ਰੀਨ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੀ ਮੁਖੀ ਸੋਨੀਆ ਨੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਉਹ ਸਪਸ਼ਟ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ NDP ਦੇ ਮੁਖੀ ਡੇਵਿਡ ਐਬੀ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ, ਪਰ BC ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਮੁਖੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਜੌਨ ਰਸਟਡ ਦਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਨੰਬਰ ਪਛਾਣ 'ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ, ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਕਾਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੈ ਸਕੀ। पर उन्होंने इस गल नूं स्पष्ट कर दिता कि उन्होंने NDP नूं भी दस दिता कि जितनी देर तक फाइनल रिजल्ट्स नहीं आते उन्नी देर तक वो अपना कोई भी फैसला जिहड़ा वो नहीं सुनाउणगे। याद रहे ग्रीन पार्टी की मुखी सोनिया अपनी सीट हार चुके हैं, पर उन्होंने दो चुने हुए जिहड़े MLA ने वो एक मेजर रोल अदा करनगे सरकार बनाउण दे विच, क्योंकि इस वक्त BC NDP की पार्टी पास 46 सीटां ने और BC कंजरवेटिव पास 45 सीटां ने, ਜਦੋਂ ਕਿ ਮੈਜੋਰਟੀ ਦੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਲਈ 47 ਸੀਟਾਂ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤ ਹੈ।
Trudeau announces massive drop in immigration targets as Liberals make major pivot. The federal government is slashing immigration targets as Prime Minister Justin Trudeau admits the government did not get the balance right following the COVID-19 pandemic. The government had targeted bringing in 500,000 new permanent residents in both 2025 and 2026. Trudeau now says next year's target will be 395,000 new permanent residents, which will continue to fall to 380,000 in 2026 and 365,000 in 2027. In the tumultuous time as we emerge from the pandemic between addressing labor needs and maintaining population growth, we didn't get the balance quite right, Trudeau said Thursday morning. With the plan we are announcing today, along with previously announced measures, we are making our immigration system work better. The change comes after significant criticism of the Liberal government's increase to immigration and the impact of strong population growth on housing availability and affordability. The government's goal is also to reduce the number of temporary residents to 5% of the population over the next 3 years, down from 7.2% in July. The federal government estimates this will mean the non-permanent resident population will decrease by 445,901 in 2025, 445,662 in 2026, and will increase modestly by 17,439 in 2027. The moves come after years of rapid increase to the number of new permanent residents in Canada and a ballooning number of people coming to Canada on a temporary basis, which federal ministers have conceded, but pressure on housing and affordability. Immigration Minister Mark Miller said the lower immigration numbers will help with the housing shortage, estimating that by 2027 Canada will need to build 670,000 fewer homes to close the gap. Miller said the federal government expects 40% of the permanent residency spots will be filled by temporary residents, which he says makes sense. These people are a young labor pool. They are skilled, they are here, they've begun their process of integration, and it doesn't place the additional demands on the housing, healthcare, and social services that we see with someone that comes directly from another country.
ਫੈਡਰਲ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਲਿਬਰਲ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਮੁਖੀ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਜਸਟਿਨ ਟਰੂਡੋ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਗੱਲ ਦਾ ਐਲਾਨ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਕਿ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਸਮਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਰਮਾਨੈਂਟ ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਸ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਲੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਿਣਤੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਮੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਏਗੀ। ਕਾਰਨ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮੁਲਕ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਾਊਸਿੰਗ ਅਫੋਰਡੇਬਿਲਟੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਘਰਾਂ ਦੀ ਕਿੱਲਤ ਔਰ ਘਰਾਂ ਦੀ ਕਮੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹ ਇੱਕ ਵੱਡਾ ਕਾਰਨ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਦੀ ਨਾਲ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ 2019 ਦੇ ਕੋਵਿਡ ਪੈਂਡੈਮਿਕ ਤੋਂ ਉਪਰੰਤ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹਾਲਾਤ ਨੇ ਕਾਫੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਹੱਦੋਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਨਿਕਲ ਗਏ ਨੇ, ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਸਮੁੱਚੇ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕਾਠੀ ਪਾਉਣ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਗਿਣਤੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪਰਮਾਨੈਂਟ ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟਸ ਦੀ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਘਟਾਇਆ ਜਾਵੇ ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਦੀ ਨਾਲ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਪਸ਼ਟ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਕਿ ਅਗਾਊਂ 3 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਗਿਣਤੀ ਨਿਰੰਤਰ ਘਟਦੀ ਰਹੇਗੀ ਔਰ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਿ ਕਾਫੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਵੱਡੀ ਗਿਣਤੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੱਡੀ ਗਿਣਤੀ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਘਰ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਦੀ ਯਕਦਮ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤ ਪਏਗੀ।
Mission Superstore toilet paper aisle fire confirmed as arson, says RCMP. Police in Mission say fire that broke out in the toilet paper aisle of a real Canadian superstore Tuesday night has been confirmed as arson. The Mission RCMP says officers and Mission Fire Rescue Services arrived at the grocery store shortly before closing time around 11 p.m. A fire started in the toilet paper aisle, Mounties said. On Wednesday, police said MFRS said the fire was suspicious and believed to have been set intentionally. In the update Thursday, the RCMP confirmed it is investigating the fire as arson. Although it may seem obvious that a fire in a toilet paper aisle must have been intentionally set, investigators needed time to confirm there was no other possible source of ignition, such as from an electrical fault. The investigation is ongoing and police are continuing to review various sources of evidence. Assistant Fire Chief Ian Glasgow said that when crews first reached the scene, they experienced heavy smoke conditions in the store. He says employees used 6 fire extinguishers on the fire but weren't able to control it. The fire then reached the top of the shelves and eventually activated one of the sprinklers on top of the aisle, which aided in the control of the fire. Glasgow says fire crews would usually recommend not attempting to put out a fire like that with an extinguisher because they are typically for incipient fires. If the fire has left the item of the fire origin, so it extended into surrounding materials, or if the fire is, let's say, as big as a person, we would recommend not attempting to put it down, he said. Mounties released an image of a person of interest Wednesday when they say has since come forward and it's cooperating with the investigation. The RCMP has not disclosed if that person is a suspect in the arson. Corporal Harrison Moore said the damage is widespread and significant throughout the store and that is likely to remain closed for a prolonged period. In a statement Thursday, Loblaws, the parent company of Real Canadian Superstore, says its workers have recently been allowed back in the store and are working with local authorities to assess the damage and begin cleaning up. Our goal is to reopen as soon as it's safe to do so, but at this time and point, we can't confirm a specific date, the company said. Anyone who has not yet come forward with information about the fire is asked to call the Mission RCMP at 604-826-7161.
ਮਿਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਸੁਪਰ ਸਟੋਰ ਵਿਖੇ ਮੰਗਲਵਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਟਾਇਲਟ ਪੇਪਰ ਵਾਲੀ ਆਇਲਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅੱਗ ਲੱਗਣ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਬੱਬ ਸੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆਇਆ ਸੀ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਧਾਰ ਕੇ ਇਹ ਅੱਗ ਲਗਾਈ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਹੁਣ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੇ ਕਨਫਰਮ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਕਿ ਧਾਰ ਕੇ ਲਗਾਈ ਗਈ ਅੱਗ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਇਸ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਤਫਤੀਸ਼ ਆ ਉਹ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਪਿਛਲੇ ਦਿਨ ਇੱਕ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਦੀ ਫੋਟੋ ਨਸ਼ਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਮਦਦ ਦੀ ਮੰਗ ਵੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ ਔਰ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਪਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਪ੍ਰਕਾਰ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਹੋਵੇ ਇਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਤਾਂ ਮਿਸ਼ਨ RCMP ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਸੰਪਰਕ ਪੈਦਾ ਕਰਨ।
More than 100K raised to support family of a woman who died at Halifax Walmart. A GoFundMe page has been set up for the young woman who died at a Walmart store in Halifax on October 19th. Organized by Maritime Sikh Society executive, the page names Gursimran Kaur as the 19-year-old woman who was found dead in a walk-in oven last week. The fundraiser is intended to raise money to help support the family through the horrific time. More than 53,000 has been raised by as of early Thursday morning, with the entirety of the funds to go directly to the bereaved family. According to the GoFundMe, Kaur's mother also worked at the Walmart store located on Mumford Road in Halifax, West End. Both mother and daughter had worked there for the last 2 years after they came to Canada with big dreams. On Saturday night, Kaur's mother was trying to find her in the store but couldn't. She tried Kaur's phone and it was not reachable, the fundraiser reads. Mother started panicking as it was unusual for her Kaur to switch her phone off during the day, it reads. She reached out on the on-site admin for help. That's when the mother found her daughter in the store's bakery walk-in oven. Imagine the horror that her mother experienced, who herself opened the oven when someone pointed out to it, the GoFundMe reads. Police have not released many details as they investigate. A small memorial set outside the closed store started days after the news of Kaur's death, with members of the Sikh community and colleagues paying their respects. Halifax police spokeswoman Marla McLinnis told this to the Canadian press. The investigation is expected to be lengthy.
Halifax ਦੇ Walmart ਦੇ ਸਟੋਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਵਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮ੍ਰਿਤਕ ਲੜਕੀ ਤੇ ਲੜਕੀ ਦੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਲੱਖ ਡਾਲਰ ਇਕੱਠਾ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮਨਸੂਬਾ ਜਾਰੀ ਹੈ, ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ 53,000 ਡਾਲਰ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਕੱਤਰਤ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕਿਆ ਹੈ। ਦੱਸਿਆ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ Walmart ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਾਂ ਧੀ ਦੋਵੇਂ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੀਆਂ ਸਨ। 2 ਸਾਲ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਉਹ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿਖੇ ਆਈਆਂ ਸਨ ਔਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਮਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੀ ਬੇਟੀ ਦਾ ਪਤਾ ਨਾ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਤਾਂ ਉਸਨੇ ਪੁੱਛ ਪੜਤਾਲ ਤੇ ਭਾਲ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤੀ। ਜਦੋਂ ਉਸਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਅਵਨ ਵਾਲੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਗਈ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਅਵਨ ਵੀ ਉਸੇ ਨੇ ਖੋਲ੍ਹਿਆ ਔਰ ਉੱਥੇ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਭਾਈਚਾਰਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਦਦ ਦੇ ਲਈ GoFundMe ਪੇਜ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ੁਰੂਆਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਔਖੇ ਵਕਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਦਦ ਮਿਲ ਸਕੇ। ਉਧਰ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਇਨਵੈਸਟੀਗੇਸ਼ਨ ਕਾफ़ी ज़्यादा ਲੰਮੇਰੀ ਜਾਏਗੀ पर इन्वेस्टिगेशन जारी है।
इसी के साथ हमें दीजिएगा इजाजत। खबरा द लेखा जोखा प्रोग्राम से until next time, goodbye and be safe.